Today's lesson on life is man abuse, support for the 1 in 6. And this is our number 4 part of our series. And I'm so excited to have back Miss Michelle Howard. Give her a hand.
Thank you. Thank you.
As I've been saying for the past 3 weeks, we know that more than 19 million men are sexually abused each year in the United States. That is 1 in every 6 males. So you've heard me say that now. This is the 4th time, and today's topic is support for the 1 in 6. And so there's a website and information on that, and so we want to point out so you never forget that 1 in 6 of every males are abused. We are again breaking that generational theme, talking about what goes on in the family, stays in the family. No, it's time for us to talk about some of these things that are happening, not just the incest, but the abuse that's happening, verbal, emotionally, sexually. A lot of people believe that it's not happening to men. Well, it is. Yes, it's happening. And there's no shame, men. We want you to talk about these things and get the help that you need. So we are sharing the story of one man's abuse today, Mr. Alan Stevens, and I'm so grateful to him for sharing his testimony. And his hope is that his testimony actually will help others to get better, to share their story, to free themselves of that shame, yes, and also to find healing in the process, because we know that there is power in the healing of our brokenness. And so today and each week we've been sharing a portion of Alan's video story, followed by a discussion with the interviewer, Miss Michelle Howard. So let's again hear from Alan.
Did you tell anyone about it?
I told my mother last night because I told my mother I was coming over here to do what I had to do, a documentary.
And how did your mom take that?
She didn't take it very well. She said, "You waited all this time?"
And again, I wanted to ask, you said you were afraid to tell. Well, you were afraid of what? What were you afraid of?
My aunt that lives in Long Island, my aunt that lives in Long Island, she said, "You should tell your mother." She said, "I don't care how many years it took place, you should tell your mother." Because I told her last year, and she don't like it. And she said she don't want to see them people.
So, and
that's my aunt on my mother's side.
Okay.
Those predators is on my father's side. And my aunt told me, she said, "You should have told somebody. You should have told your grandfather, your grandmother. You should have sat down, you should have told them, because they would have took care of that."
And do you, and what, you said you were afraid to tell, but what were you afraid of? What were you afraid was going to happen if you told?
Because I was threatened as far as, "You better not tell nobody."
Okay.
And when you're young, you're vulnerable, and you better not tell nobody.
So now, as you said you're 50 now, so now do you feel that, how long have you been in therapy?
I'm going for therapy now.
Okay, and you feel that this is helping to heal because you've had this on your own for so long. So is the therapy the only thing that's helping you heal? Or was there something else in your life that helped you get
Actually,
through this?
what makes me heal right now is God. I pray every day. I pray that He wakes me up. I pray that the predators that did what they did to me, I hope they do well. I don't wish no bad on no one, because you gotta forgive and you gotta forget. But I don't forget. I forgive, but I don't forget.
What, if anything, would you say to someone that is watching and it has been in the same situation that you have been in? What would you tell them? Would you tell them to get counseling? Would you tell them to tell somebody? What could you tell them?
Tell the closest person that you trust, which is your mother and your father, your grandmother and your grandfather, if they're alive.
Okay.
Don't hide. Don't hide it no more. There's no need to be hidden, because this stuff need to be written out, because people are just downright nasty. I mean, your family is nasty.
All right, welcome back. Thank you again, Ms. Michelle Howard, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
You've been doing an awesome job. We've really been talking about a lot of different things from day one, just sort of the underreported stories, some of the statistics that I keep mentioning, also some of the emotional pieces that go along with abuse and the trauma. And today we're actually going to talk about sort of support. It's really important when I'm doing this work that we not only highlight people on my community resources, that we provide enough support for the issues that we talk about. And so between the two of us, we want to share a few resources with you. But before we get to that, there's a couple of things that I want to talk about. It's really shocking to me that when a person, a child, or an adult finds the strength to share what they have gone through, some people will basically say, "What took you so long?" If you watch the video, at the end of the video, you hear Alan talk about that he shared his story with his mother. And so I want Michelle to share, before I get into some of the grimy stuff, what was that experience like for Alan and for you, because a lot of this was really new.
Right. Originally, he wanted his mom to be at the interview, and she would have heard it during the interview. And we kind of had a talk about that. And I said, you know, you're kind of doing that shock thing to her instead of sitting her down. If you want to tell her, just you and her. So he told her, and it's funny that that's the first thing she said. Why did you wait so long to tell me? Why didn't you tell me when you were younger? And she shared it with her sister, and her sister was like, well, we can do something now.
Yeah.
And the mother was reluctant to confront the predators because it had happened so long ago.
Yes.
So she was reluctant to confront them.
Yeah, and I found that so shocking, because when I watched the video, I was like, wow. She said, what?
Yes.
You know, she said, what took you so long? You know, and even though he's 50, I always say, you know, with that pain, it's still as though he was only 9 sharing this information with her.
Yes.
So all those emotions, all of that guilt and shame, and finally thinking that I'm going to share this with someone and I hope they understand, and you get sort of, what took you so long? Which to a child says,
why
you know, why did you let that happen?
It's almost like she's saying, if you would have said something sooner,
it would have been better somehow.
Yes.
And that's so not the case.
No.
So we want to be careful about what we say and how we react. I hear a lot of kids who will say, you know, I told my mom, and she just was like, you know, especially if it's a boyfriend.
Yes.
And a mom, I'll say a mom or a parent has to choose between the boyfriend and believe in the child, not choosing between the boyfriend and the child. But many times in a child's mind, they feel like, well, you chose that other person because you're still dating them.
Right.
You're still married to them.
And nothing happened.
And nothing happened. Did you even look into it? Did you ask him or her about it? And many times,
and then they'll say things like, we won't talk about it anymore.
Exactly. So like, now you told me we won't talk about it anymore. Like, that made it better.
Yes. We don't have to talk about it anymore.
That doesn't make it better. I just want to put that out there. But I was really shocked by that, and I wanted you to share a little bit about that story, because he also said, I think a year before before this whole thing, he had told his aunt, the aunt in Long Island, the mother's sister.
And when the mother told her, she didn't want her sister to know that she already knew.
Yeah.
But she wanted to address the issue. She wanted to address the issue, and his mother was very reluctant. She did not want to address the issue.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
which I think it still hurts a little bit.
He got what he needed from the aunt, because she was very supportive. You know, she was very loving and kind. She didn't go there with, why did you wait so long? You know, he got what he needed from her, but he did not get that from his mom.
And that's
unfortunately.
actually, what I was going to encourage, you know, people, when we do this encouragement thing, to encourage you, tell someone that will listen to you. And so I'm so glad that he had his aunt, because, and even talking to the aunt, he felt, I could see empowerment. Like, I talked to her and she was like, they shouldn't have done that to me.
And that might have been what made him willing to step forward now.
Exactly.
Yes.
I really think that she gave him the strength to talk about his story. Definitely. So thank you, Aunt.
Thank you, Auntie.
We appreciate that. And I think that she gave him, I feel like, this sense of strength She removed that secret that you
Yes.
kept talking about. She removed a little bit of his shame, and I just think that it's really nice to have somebody in your corner when you're going through something like that. So thank you, Auntie, and thank you, Alan, for coming forward again. I want to say this too. It's interesting that people drill children about not telling someone, like, why didn't you say this earlier or to someone? But like Alan said, when you are a child, he said, you're vulnerable.
Yes.
You're afraid. And if someone says, don't tell anyone, you don't tell anyone.
Exactly. I know one of the participants that, like I said, did not come forward. He was saying that his reluctance was that he felt that if he told, they would hurt his predator. They would kill her.
Yeah.
He felt that was very real to him because his family was an eye for an eye type of family. So he felt that if he said anything, that she would be hurt. He said, but when he got a certain age, he told her he would kill her. So she, to stop the abuse. He took a very proactive role in stopping his abuse.
Yeah, wow.
But the damage was already done.
Yeah, interesting. And one of the movies that I show in a couple of my classes, depends on the class, is the Antoine Fisher story.
Yes.
And in that story, there's a story of abuse of a young man abused by a woman. And again, you see, as we've been talking about, how it hurt his relationships. And you can relate this a little bit to the movie and seeing how it hurt him in his being a man and feeling like a man, the anger that he had that really came out through a lot of fighting. But he was so talented in his reading and his writing, and but all that pain just turned into anger. And so by the end too, I started to notice a change, even during the interview in Alan in the beginning, as he was really angry when he talked about those things, what happened to him. But near the end, he started talking about God. And he started talking about forgiveness. And so
that was awesome.
I love that because he was like, I forgive and I forget.
Yes.
But I forgive. I can't forget, but I forgive.
But he said that helped in his healing.
Yes.
Was he knows that he wakes up every day and he thanks God. And he thanks God that they have a good, life. He prays to God that they have a good life.
Yep, I love that. And so I wanted to point that out because we did talk a lot about emotions and his anger. But Alan, you're not an angry person. And I always tell people, I've had young men and older men come to me and say, how do I get past this anger? I'm just an angry person. I hate being this way. And I tell people, first of all, separate yourself from your emotion. That you can be angry, because that's a normal emotion, because if somebody make you hot, somebody get on your nerves, somebody's bothering you, we all can get angry. So anger is an emotion, but you being an angry person doesn't have to be.
Right.
You're still human. And so separate the emotion from you. You can choose to be angry or choose how you're going to react to certain situations. And so I wanted to also let the world know, and the audience know, that the Alan that I saw at the end of the interview was a man of faith, a man who really was looking to forgive, who had already really forgiven.
He sees the light at the end of the tunnel.
He does.
Know that his process he's going to be victorious.
Yes.
That's what I got at the end of the interview, that the process that he's not finished, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel and he's going to be difference.
Exactly.
And that's an awesome thing to see.
Beautiful testimony.
Really yes,
because what's interesting in that, I don't know if we said, but he still has to see these people.
Yes, he
which
does.
is really hard for a lot of people who have been abused by family members or close, or people like stepfathers or stepmothers or whatever. It's really hard when you have to see the person. I know some people who see the person like every day.
And that's why I asked the question, if they were sitting here right now, what would you want to hear from them?
Yes.
What would you have to say to them?
Yes.
In some way, because he's not interested in confronting them, but this would be a catharsis for him. He can say what he wants to say, and he can say what he wants to hear from them.
And on that note, I want to say that he said he wanted an apology.
Yes, he did.
He said, I just want them to apologize.
Yes.
I want them, he wanted, and I'm sorry for doing this to you. I'm sorry for damaging your life. I'm sorry for hurting you.
And to acknowledge that it happened.
That it happened.
It happened.
And maybe whether he gets that or not, I want him to know that he knows that it happened. We know that it happened, and I want him to find forgiveness for himself, as he's already found forgiveness for them, because he talked about seeing them at family gatherings
Yes.
in the South here, and wanting to, thinking, I just want to walk over them and be like, do you know what you did to me?
Yes.
And keeping his cool and just shaking their hand. And so, Alan, I acknowledge that self-control. So, you on one hand say you're an angry person, but that is not the work of an angry person. You're a good person, you have a good heart, and so we want to encourage you to keep living your best life, definitely. And as I wrap up, last thing, as we mentioned, you asked him how does he heal, what helps him heal, and I want to point out the several things that he said. Therapy.
Yes,
He's still in counseling.
He said at the
Yeah.
end, tell somebody.
Tell somebody.
He said, tell somebody.
Tell somebody.
He certainly
Praying to
said
God, forgiving and forgetting, even though sometimes we don't forget. Do you think you feel like he's healing?
Yes, I do. In watching the whole process,
Yeah.
because I was there watching every emotion.
Yeah.
And like you said, in the end, you know that because of what he said,
Yeah.
that you know that he's going to be victorious in his healing. He's not
He is.
completely healed,
He is.
but he's going to be victorious.
He is. And there's so much support out there. I don't have time to give you everything, but we're going to post some of this.
Yes.
Some of the questions you might have. There's some common questions. Are other guys going through the same thing? Yes. Are there real examples of people overcoming these things? Yes. Can I know if I was sexually abused? Yes. Do your research if you're not sure about what you're feeling and what you're going through. Understanding the effects of what happened to you, those type of things. There's the RAIN website, again, that has awesome information. The 1 in 6 website, which is 1in6.org, and let's see, there's a couple of books out there. Nice to Meet Me. There's some great resources out there. I'm going to post some of these things so that you have it.
Yes.
And so I'm running out of time, but I want Miss Michelle to share a little bit about her program.
Yes, it's the
as
Life
well.
Skills Workshop. It's going to be held at the Mount Olive Baptist Church, 310 North Birdneck Road, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23451. November 4th will be the first class. That's on a Wednesday. Please contact me. Again, my name is Michelle Howard, 757-425-1599. That's 757-425-1599. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the step to do something like this.
Yes, I'm excited. I thank you, Alan, for sharing your story. I'm so excited for Miss Michelle Howard. I think she did a great job of just spreading information and working on this documentary. We want to also give a shout out to Miss Valerie
Gunn,
who helped with the documentary, and to Mr. Alan Stevens, and again, Miss Michelle Howard, for being so passionate about this work. I want to say we did it. Excellent job.
Hello.
High five. Thank you so much for watching. It's Life Changing with me. We'll see you next time. It's now time for our community resources. I'm super excited to have with me today Mr. Reginald Medard, business owner, entrepreneur, owner of Spades Restaurant and Lounge. Give him a hand. But that's just one thing to know about Reginald. So I wanted him to share a few things about himself, because he's been doing some amazing things in the community. But before we really talk about those things, I wanted people to have a little bit about sort of your background.
Okay, how you doing? Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for bringing me on the show.
Of course, I'm happy to have you.
Real quick, a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
West Indian parents.
Okay.
So I pretty much grew up with a group of people that was always in small communities.
Okay.
And then we find a way to struggle to get out of those small communities and
Okay.
venture off into big things. So my parents migrated here back in the early about 1960.
Okay.
1954, and they bought a small house in Brooklyn, New York.
Nice.
All right. I was born and raised in Flatbush, and I started my career in the criminal justice field.
Okay.
I figured I'd be an advocate of a lot of things I've seen going on in the streets of Brooklyn. That was when the drug era was really huge, when
Yeah.
it first started, and the Mayor Giuliani decided to clean up the streets of New York.
Okay.
So I joined some of his little campaigns and little local things throughout the
Wonderful.
street.
Wonderful.
And then
Good for you, you know.
Yeah,
Doing
I
something
wanted to do
positive.
something to clean up my neighborhood. You
Exactly.
know? And I joined the police department back in early 2000. but it was really corrupt then in New York City.
Really?
It was really tough.
So you wanted to help, but you got in the system.
I realized it was really tough.
Okay.
So my brother was in the military, and he just asked me to come down to Virginia Beach.
Okay.
Never been to Virginia Beach, never been to South. Heard a lot of things
Really?
about the South.
South is awesome.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make my, make
That's
my own
good and bad.
determination. Yeah.
Okay.
So I came to Virginia Beach, and I joined the Virginia Beach Police Department.
Okay.
And I found my career there.
Okay. Very different, right?
Very different.
Very different.
I immediately went into community policing, and I
Okay.
started helping areas like Twin Canal, Bridle Creek. I worked in Lake Edwards as a community resource officer and a police officer. And
Beautiful.
I helped advocate a lot of different programs that they started.
Definitely. Yeah, I'm guessing you meet a lot of the community, a lot of the youth that way. Definitely. And, today with everything that's going on, we really are trying to educate our youth and parents about the good ones. There are some great police officers, some great police work that's happening. There are some great people, but I always want people to know behind those badges, behind those suits are people. It's real people who, some of them really care about the community and what's happening.
Right.
And so I just want to point that out.
It's a very important statement you should make, especially for us in this time in America
Yeah.
with the police problems and the Black Lives Matters movement that was
Yes.
started. I recently left the Virginia Beach Police Department because I realized I could be more effective if I had my own. So I opened up a family business with my brother and an uncle of mine. It's called Talk Family Services.
Okay.
And we're advocate for kids who are mentally retarded, bipolar, disabled, handicapped. It's called Talk Family Services.
I saw that. I thought that was awesome. I was going to ask you about that too. So where is it located?
It's located. I don't know the physical address,
That's
but
okay.
it's just an office because we do in-home intensive care.
Okay, wonderful.
Kids that are about to be removed from the system, truant kids that's going to JDRC.
Okay.
And before they go into the system, they probably need one more chance to do right. So we come
Okay.
in, we mentor the kids, and we counsel, and we have a lot of Black positive men in their lives as well because most of those kids are from single parent households.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
And
Did you bring me a phone number, or do I have to get that from you later?
I'm going to get the website is at www.talkfamilyservices.com.
Okay. All right.
And they can find us on the website.
Okay. Okay. And I'll make sure I get that information so we can post it as well.
Definitely.
So for those families who are needing more information, okay? And you've been doing a lot, so I want to definitely highlight, so after the police department, and then you started this career being a public servant, as you call it, so you, along with some family members, open up your family restaurant, which is called Spades.
Spades Restaurant and Lounge
Lounge.
is my third, business, and I realized that I needed facilities for the parents to come and eat.
Yes.
Places for drop-off for back-to-school book bags. We've fed about 1,000 families for free, homeless people as well. We've done Toys for Tots for kids.
Yeah.
We've used the venue for people who wanted to get married and didn't have enough money for a venue for a reception. We've done graduation parties, and everything's absolutely free. I pay for everything out of my pocket.
That's amazing.
The police officer that I used to work with, Rod Paczewski, was shot and killed in the line of duty.
Yeah.
And before he was killed, we both decided that we was going to open up our own facility, like a YMCA. But because of my Caribbean ties and this space, I made it a restaurant as well as a facility. So
Okay.
we clear it out and we try to do things. So I did it
Okay.
in memory of Rod Paczewski, my partner at the time.
That's beautiful. I love that.
So it's about to be back to school.
Yes.
We collected about maybe 40 to 100 toys so far.
Wow.
And it's still coming in. So if they want to drop something off, they
Okay.
can find us at Spades Restaurant and Lounge, 3601 Holland Road in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
Where I started my career. Virginia Beach is very special to me.
Yeah.
It's right on the corner of Holland and Rosemont and Chimney Hill Shopping Center.
It sure is. And I was going to ask you for that dress. You did a great job, okay? But you've been doing a lot of stuff, again, doing a lot for the kids, doing a lot for families. You've raised money for hurricane disaster relief, for lupus, cancer, heart disease. You've taught motivational speaking classes. You also are a youth counselor, conflict resolution coordinator, and just still doing a lot in the community just to help people.
That's where I come from. We come from a certain breed, a certain stock that we're all community related. If we run out of power, the neighbor runs an extension cord.
Yeah.
If you have the rice and they have the meat, we have a meal. So coming from the West Indian background, growing up in
I love
Brooklyn,
it.
New York,
Yeah.
that's the way I grew up with my parents. You
Yeah.
know? And if you're a car club, if you're a social club, I'm an alpha. My brother's a Mason. We're all about groups. Everything we
Yes.
do is in groups, and we
I
like
love
to help
it.
a lot of people. So I have a lot to do. I just started. I just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
I'm learning. I'm trying to get into the political aspect,
Okay.
not just helping people. I want to affect change as well.
Yeah.
So if you need to do that, you got to kind
Yeah.
of get into politics and move forward. So.
Well, I will encourage you because, criminal justice people do think that way, nothing against you,
Yeah, we do.
But yeah, politics are important, but I want to encourage you and empower you that change is already happening with what you're doing. And that you don't have to do anything more, add anything else to yourself to affect change. And to know that the lives that you're touching through the talk, family services, through your restaurant, and just being on the show and doing things in the community is huge change.
I thank you.
And the biggest one, and the reason that I have you here, is just for people to see you.
That was my biggest problem, a platform.
Just for you to be you.
Yeah, because I'm so small time, I'm not in politics. Most people don't recognize what we do. If I'm not a part of a church or a big organization, people don't see it. So I'm really appreciative for being on the show so people can understand that Talk Family Services is there.
Yeah.
My restaurant is there. And,
Yeah.
little people like us are
Yeah.
out there
Yeah.
trying to, help ourselves.
Well, before my television show, I would have those days. I call them moments because it wasn't all the time, but every once in a while I go, I want to share this with more people, and then it wasn't until my students, they were like, well, Dr. Perry, people really should hear you. They should see you because, they would invite parents to my classes, friends to my classes. And I said, well, maybe I'll think about it. But, I'm really comfortable sitting in the back of the room. I feel like as a leader, I don't have to be up front to lead.
That's right.
I don't have to be out front screaming and yelling to be heard. And so it's really important for the little people, the underdogs, to understand that sometimes your message is not the message of the crowd, is not the message of everyone, but that little small voice that you got working
Right.
here, there, in this corner, and the places that other people won't go.
You're
You know those
absolutely right.
places, those
Yes, I do.
neighborhoods, those houses, those people that nobody wants anything to do with.
I'm not
I
one
love
of
those
those.
people. I love those people, and I can tell that you love
That's
those
our
people.
community. I love those because I am those
exactly.
people. And I appreciate
So
the
you can-
opportunity.
Exactly. So I want you to know you're making a huge difference
Thank you.
in just being yourself. So I'm glad that you could be here today to talk about the things that you have going on. So keep doing that. And so as I encourage you, we encourage those other young men who are watching as another example of a man who is doing great things, because that's what this month was all about. It was about man abuse and sort of empowering men to share their stories, for empowerment, to be strong, and that, we're more than our circumstance, we're more than our past.
Definitely. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate
you
it.
so
And thank
much.
you for listening.
Thank you. Mr. Reginald Medard. Continue to pray for those who are being abused and those who are going through, and for our community, that we will all find a way to really work together. Thank you so much for watching. It's life changing. God bless you.